specimen which he has given in the Rambler, motto to number 7. O qui perpetua mundum ratione gubnas, terrarum caelique sato, disierce terrenae neblas et pondera mollis, atque tuo splendore mica, tu namque serenum, tu requies tranquilla piis, te cernere finis, principium, vector, dux semita terminus idem. O thou, whose power of moving worlds presides, whose voice created, and whose wisdom guides, on darkling man in pure effulgence shine, and cheer the clouded mind with light divine. 'Tis thine alone to calm the pious breast with silent confidence and holy rest. From thee, great God, we spring, to thee we tend, path, motive, guide, original, and end. In 1739, besides the assistance which he gave to the parliamentary debates, his writings in the Gentleman's Magazine were the Life of Boerhaave, in which it is to be observed that he discovers that love of chemistry which never forsook him, an appeal to the public in behalf of the editor, an address to the reader, an epigram both in Greek and Latin to Eliza, and also English verses to her, and a Greek epigram to Dr. Birch. It has been erroneously supposed that an essay published in that magazine this year, entitled The Apotheosis of Milton, was written by Johnson, and on that supposition it has been improperly inserted in the edition of his works by the booksellers after his decease. Were there no positive testimony as to this point, the style of the performance, and the name of Shakespeare not being mentioned in an essay professedly reviewing the principal English poets, would ascertain it not to be the production of Johnson. But there is here no occasion to resort to internal evidence, for my Lord Bishop of Salisbury, Dr. Douglas, has assured me that it was written by Guthrie. His separate publications were A Complete Vindication of the Licensers of the Stage, from the malicious and scandalous aspersions of Mr. Brooke, author of Gustavus Vasa, being an ironical attack upon them for their suppression of that tragedy, and Marmor Norfolciense, or an essay on an ancient prophetical inscription in monkish rhyme, lately discovered near Lynn in Norfolk by Probus Britannicus. In this performance he, in a feigned inscription, supposed to have been found in Norfolk, the county of Sir Robert Walpole, then the obnoxious Prime Minister of this country, inveighs against the Brunswick succession, and the measures of government consequent upon it. To this supposed prophecy he added a commentary, making each expression apply to the times, with warm anto-Hanoverian zeal. This anonymous pamphlet, I believe, did not make so much noise as was expected, and therefore had not a very extensive circulation. Sir John Hawkins relates that warrants were issued and messengers employed to apprehend the author, who, though he had forborne to subscribe his name to the pamphlet, the vigilance of those in pursuit of him had discovered; and we are informed that he lay concealed in Lambeth Marsh till the scent after him grew cold. This, however, is altogether without foundation; for Mr. Steele, one of the secretaries of the Treasury, who amidst a variety of important business politely obliged me with his attention to my inquiry, informed me that he directed every possible search to be made in the records of the Treasury and Secretary of State's office, but could find no trace whatever of any warrant having been issued to apprehend the author of this pamphlet. Marmor Norfolciense became exceedingly scarce, so that I, for many years, endeavoured in vain to procure a copy of it. At last I was indebted to the malice of one of Johnson's numerous petty adversaries, who in 1775 published a new edition of it, with notes and a dedication to Samuel Johnson, LL.D., by Tribunus, in which some puny scribbler invidiously attempted to found upon it a charge of inconsistency against its author, because he had accepted of a pension from his present Majesty, and had written in support of the measures of government. As a mortification to such impotent malice, of which there are so many instances towards men of eminence, I am happy to relate that this telum imbelle did not reach its exalted object, till about a year after it thus appeared, when I mentioned it to him, supposing that he knew of the republication. To my surprise, he had not yet heard of it. He requested me to go directly and get it for him, which I did. He looked at it and laughed, and seemed to be much diverted with the feeble efforts of his unknown adversary, who I hope is alive to read this account. "Now," said he, "here is somebody who thinks he has vexed me sadly. Yet, if it had not been for you, you rogue, I should probably never have seen it." As Mr. Pope's note concerning Johnson, alluded to in a former page, refers both to his London and his Marmor Norfolciense, I have deferred inserting it till now. I am indebted for it to Dr. Percy, the Bishop of Dromore, who permitted me to copy it from the original in his possession. It was presented to his Lordship by Sir Joshua Reynolds, to whom it was given by the son of Mr. Richardson the painter, the person to whom it is addressed. I have transcribed it with minute exactness, that the peculiar mode of writing and imperfect spelling of that celebrated poet may be exhibited to the curious in literature. It justifies Swift's epithet of paper-sparing Pope, for it is written on a slip no larger than a common message card, and was sent to Mr. Richardson along with the Imitation of Juvenal. This is imitated by one Johnson, who put in for a public school in Shropshire, but was disappointed. He has an infirmity of the convulsive kind, that attacks him sometimes, so as to make him a sad spectacle. Mr. P, from the merit of this work, which was all the knowledge he had of him, endeavoured to serve him without his own application, and wrote to my Lord Gore, but he did not succeed. Mr. Johnson published afterwards another poem in Latin with notes, the whole very humorous, called the Norfolk Prophecy. P. Johnson had been told of this note, and Sir Joshua Reynolds informed him of the compliment which it contained, but, from delicacy, avoided showing him the paper itself. When Sir Joshua observed to Johnson that he seemed very desirous to see Pope's note, he answered, "Who would not be proud to have such a man as Pope so solicitous in inquiring about him?" The infirmity to which Mr. Pope alludes appeared to me also, as I have elsewhere observed, to be of the convulsive kind, and of the nature of that distemper called St. Vitus's dance; and in this opinion I am confirmed by the description which Sydenham gives of that disease. This disorder is a kind of convulsion. It manifests itself by halting or unsteadiness of one of the legs, which the patient draws after him like an idiot. If the hand of the same side be applied to the breast, or any other part of the body, he cannot keep it a moment in the same posture, but it will be drawn into a different one by a convulsion, notwithstanding all his efforts to the contrary. Sir Joshua Reynolds, however, was of a different opinion, and favoured me with the following paper: "Those motions or tricks of Dr. Johnson are improperly called convulsions. He could sit motionless, when he was told so to do, as well as any other man. My opinion is, that it proceeded from a habit which he had indulged himself in, of accompanying his thoughts with certain untoward actions, and those actions always appeared to me as if they were meant to reprobate some part of his past conduct. Whenever he was not engaged in conversation, such thoughts were sure to rush into his mind, and for this reason, any company, any employment whatever, he preferred to being alone. The great business of his life, he said, was to escape from himself. This disposition he considered as the disease of his mind, which nothing cured but company." One instance of his absence and particularity, as it is characteristic of the man,